The Perfect Genetics Challenge, Generation 1, Episode 29. Welcome, Carrots here. And that's the entire household, as it is at the beginning of the video. Alien abductions are happening on a regular basis in this household. I had our heir, Cindy, down in the basement working on trying to discover new potions, but she was interrupted in her quest by an alien who wanted to abduct her. This was her first abduction by aliens. At least I think it is. I haven't noticed her going off with them before. Her father goes off on a regular basis. He's always going somewhere with the aliens. We don't know where the aliens take them. They just go. They seem quite eager to go and quite angry when they get home again. Nobody really knows what goes on when they get abducted by those aliens, but they're very persistent. I think we get an alien abduction just about every night. Eventually everything comes to an end and the aliens return Cindy. Never quite to the exact same place where they picked her up from, but at least she gets close to home. But this is only because their house is right on the road. The aliens only ever return them to somewhere on a road. Makes me wonder if you can have alien abductions in a world without any roads. When Cindy had first become aware of the irresistible call of the alien that wanted to abduct her, she'd been down here in the basement with Gary, and they'd both been trying to find a new potion on the chemistry table. There's 3 chemistry tables down here. Gary's still looking for a potion to let him turn his imaginary friend real. Cindy has already made the potion. She's had it in her inventory for quite a while, but there's still more potions that she can discover, and she improves her logic skill as she works on the potions. Gary eventually is rewarded for his hard work and he does discover a potion. Unfortunately, it's not the potion that will allow him to turn his imaginary friend real. It looks like it's time for Gary to go to sleep, so that's all the potions he's going to work on tonight. Next morning finds Petal working in the greenhouse. She's tending the garden and working on her gardening skill. She's recently aged up to teen. She's got some beautiful plant sim type outfits because yes, Petal is our resident plant sim. This garden has been sadly neglected lately. I'll have to do something more about that. So far, Petal is the only child of the household who has managed to turn her imaginary friend real. And her imaginary friend is Cosmo. He's got a huge afro-type haircut, and he's got a bright yellow t-shirt. There's Gary walking towards us, and the pale yellow shirt there in the front, that's Bill. He's destined to be Cindy's husband, because Cindy is the heir, and she's going to need to produce an heir for the next generation. At the moment, they're both still teens. He moved in here in the last episode just so we could get him ready and get Cindy to know him as well. They're already boyfriend and girlfriend. That's Don over there near the far wall. So we've got most of them out here working in the garden. It really needs a bit of work. Hardly anybody's touched it for ages. When they've all got their gardening skills up to level 10, I'll think about hiring a gardening service. Although this garden is fairly well spread out and it's not particularly large, they should be able to manage it, but only if I don't want them to do other things. Cosmo, that's Petal's imaginary friend turned real in the yellow t-shirt, he wanted to learn the gardening skill, and I decided that it was best to start him off at the library where he could quickly get to the first level by reading a book. Because I find if you start a sim without any gardening skill off just doing gardening, they often never seem to advance their skills. They just stay constantly without any gardening skill. Of course, I forgot about him being at the library, left him there for too long, and the police brought him home because he was out after curfew. It was a dark and scary night. All of the resident humans and plant sims and imaginary friends turned real were tucked up in their beds, sleeping, and Bindi ran outside and started chasing his ball. I thought we'd see a bit of action from the puppy dog, a little puppy dog action night time. Now, Olivia, our founder, the sim who started this whole household, was indoors in their front room reading recipes. She spends a lot of time reading recipes, but she will get to know them all eventually. Then she'll probably die of old age. But I'd like her to live a bit longer. I've got them set on very epic lifespans, and I'm wondering if she'll stay around to see generation 10. There's little Bindi, he's given up on his ball, he's come inside, tried to get a bit of attention from Olivia. But she's ignoring him because I've told her to read recipes. A little while later, Don comes out and joins her. He's reading recipes too. Olivia has got her lifetime wish, which was culinary librarian lifetime wish. Olivia's a lot further ahead than Don in her career. She's already got to level 9 in the culinary career. Don's back at about level 6. But then Olivia joined the culinary career as soon as she came into this house. And of course, when she first started in this house, it was only a couple of rooms. It took her ages to meet up with Don and to become friends with him, because he was given the role of consignment store clerk by the game. Even though I'd given him the lifetime wish of celebrated 5-star chef. My problem was I hadn't added him to Olivia's household to start with. I wanted them to meet up in town and get to know each other before they got married and started having their children, which is why this series started off with such a long time before they actually managed to get married and start having their babies. It's another one of the reasons why I've introduced Cindy's future husband to her already. So when she ages up to young adult, they should be ready to get married and start having their babies. After school, Gary quickly did his homework and then let his imaginary friend Cosmo get out of his pocket, and then they went down to the basement where Gary was working on trying to find the potion to turn Cosmo real. And Cosmo stood behind him anxiously watching Gary the whole time. I don't think Cosmo really knows what Gary's up to. He just wants to hang around. No, he just got a potion. Which one is that? Is it the one we need? Let's have a look. Looks good. That is the imaginary friend potion. I can tell by the colour. But Cosmo isn't very happy with Gary yet. Gary's going to have to work hard, making Cosmo a really good friend before Cosmo will take the potion. But Gary does eventually succeed in convincing Cosmo it would be a good idea to drink that potion. Cosmo's got Cindy on his mind. Does he think he's got a chance at being her new husband? I was actually considering getting someone's imaginary friend to be her husband, but I wanted to add some extra colour to the family, and I wasn't real sure what would happen with the imaginary friends. Well, I don't really like the look he's got there, so he'll be going into Stylist. You get more interesting clothes available in Stylist. Meanwhile, Cindy's got her imaginary friend out of her pocket, and she's talking through her imaginary friend to little Martin. Martin's nearly ready to age up. Now, Cindy has got the same problem that Gary had. She's got to convince her imaginary friend to drink the potion. Remember, Cindy's got the potion. She's had it for a couple of episodes. We didn't actually get a video of her when she got it, but she has had it in her pocket for a while now. So we're going to see another imaginary friend get turned real soon. It's only going to be soon because I'm going to cut out almost all of the time she spent convincing him that it would be a good idea to drink this really strange potion that she's got there. I guess she's got to earn their trust. She could have been giving them anything. Her imaginary friend's name is Rags, so I'm wanting to get a name starting with R for this one. I'll have to give Gary's imaginary friend a new name as well, because we've already got a Cosmo. We left Petal's imaginary friend with his original name. You know, I never checked the gender of any of these imaginary friends, and I should have done that way back when they first got them, so I could have got a mixture of males and females. Finally, I didn't think that was ever going to happen, and I cut out minutes of the video of her trying to explain to this silly imaginary friend that it wasn't going to be poison and that he would really be much happier if he'd drink it. And he finally said, "Oh, okay, give it to me then," and he drank it. So now we're stuck with finding him a name beginning with R. I thought about Robert, but it was a bit long, so I shortened it to Bob. That's one of the names that is often given to people called Robert. And because Gary's imaginary friend's original name started with a C, I thought Charles would do for him, but I thought that was a bit formal, so I changed it to Chaz. Olivia's being very attentive to little Martin. Martin, of course, was screaming because he was hungry, waking up the entire household. Does that quite regularly. So does his little sister. She's a screamer as well. They're both little aliens that Don got when he was abducted at 2 different times. We're going to age up little Mary at some point soon because I want the 2 of them to be toddlers together for a while, to do some things together as a pair of toddlers. But I'm also going to have to, in this episode, age up Martin. So he's going to be reading his books, spending a lot of time reading books until he's got them all read. Yes, we're going to have quite a lot of things happening from here on in with this episode. While Don supervised Martin drinking his bottle, Olivia darted into Gary's bedroom to play a game on his laptop that was sitting on his desk. I'm going to have to lock a few bedroom doors, I see. It was okay having everybody going in here when they were children, but now they're almost young adults. I think we should lock the door for them. Eventually, Olivia changed out of her sleepwear and went into the kitchen to start reading more recipes. She's got lots more to read. Martin is rapidly approaching the last of his books that he's got to read. He's got to read the whole 9 of the toddler skill books. He's done all of his other toddler skills. Cindy's imaginary friend turned real, Bobby, had a wish to discover a potion. So I sent him down there to the basement to see if he could find a potion. I've undertaken a rather frantic building program upstairs. Remember that little balcony where Don was reading his books? Well, that's all bedrooms now and bathrooms. I've extended the bedrooms over the top of the car shed, the garage. I'm still trying to keep the roof looking like it all belongs to the original house, but it's evolving. I haven't expanded the basement yet either. It's just 2 small rooms next door to each other. There's this room with the 3 chemistry tables and a staircase coming down to it and a doorway to the next room, which is really just a storage room for things they've got that they've collected. Meanwhile, I had sent Chaz, Gary's imaginary friend turned real, to the library to learn a bit about gardening. Back at home, little Bindi went for a swim in Petal's pool, and Petal was swimming there with him. It was at this time that I realised I hadn't taken Petal in to create a sim or stylist when she aged up, and she had all of the outfits still on that the game gave her when she aged up, and that swimming outfit that she's wearing, including the high-heeled boots, I thought was just a little bit too much for her to be left with. So I had to take her into stylist to solve the problem. Out in the yard, we've got James and Cosmo practicing basketball hoops. If they do it for long enough, they'll eventually get the idea. I think Gary can get the hoop from just about any point on that little square now. Looks like Cosmo's just learning. And James isn't too good at it either.
Collie!
So you still missed it, Cosmo? You would think going up there and hanging onto the hoop that you'd get it through. But they're both a bit hopeless, I think. But with some practice, I'm sure they'll get the idea. Next morning, they're all off to school. Look at that number of Sims that got out of that bus. No wonder that household's getting overpopulated. I had ideas of keeping them all together throughout the generations, but it's not going to happen, is it? Because it'll end up just freezing up. I guess they won't all end up having families, but a few of them will. Cindy most certainly will. With that long purple hair, I keep thinking it's her mother, but it's Cindy. She's aged up to teen. That's Bill with the green plum bob over his head. He's the one that's going to be married to Cindy when they both grow up, but at this point they're still both teens. Gary, he's going to be the first one become a young adult. He's the eldest of their firstborn for Olivia and Don. Of course, not all of the Sims who are waiting outside there belong to that household. There's a few others that have wandered off. Who knows what they're up to. There's Don just come home from work in the culinary career. Martin's still working on his toddler books. I thought this was fascinating. Those flies are huge. Somebody's made a mess out here and not cleaned it up. I actually first noticed the flies through the window. They look like monsters. These two are trying to play. One of them had a wish to play with another pet, so I told them to play together. I hope it granted the wish. What's Ginger gone off to do? He's seen something down there. I can see what it is. It's a snake. I'm having trouble teaching Ginger to hunt. Don't seem to have that any menus available for the Sims to do any training of the cat at all. They've managed to teach little Bindi to hunt or to sniff out collectibles. He's got the hunting skill, but Ginger hasn't, and I haven't been able to work out how to get him trained. I know I've trained other cats, that this one is not trainable. It could be a mod that I've got in that I don't know what the problem is. I've got too many mods to go through them all. That snake looks scary. Bindi's having a bit of a run, checking out the gnomes. That's the gnome of autumn there, the witch, Cacklin Nakabel. And the one on the left, which is just off the screen, that's the summertime gnome. There's James and Cindy taking care of the baby, little Mary. She's going to have to age up to toddler soon. I want her to be a toddler while Martin is still a toddler. And Martin is going to age up the child as soon as he's finished reading his books and had a little game with Mary. I want to put them both into the playpen together. What's upsetting Cindy about that plant? The others are all doing their homework. Owen at this end in the chair, James in the middle, and Chaz at the end. Oh, I caught him out. He's in the action. He's a technophobe, and I do wish he didn't have that trait, but it got given to him when he aged up. His little Petal's imaginary friend made real, Cosmo. And I've sent Owen downstairs to work on his finding the potion to make his imaginary friend real. So he's going to be working here for a while. And I think an apt punishment for that naughty Cosmo would be to force him to study science, because he fails in his attempt at sabotaging the science machine, which is good, but he needs to be punished for making the attempt. So Cosmo is now about to research science on the science machine, even though he is a technophobe, and he'll give him a negative moodlet. Can a technophobe be a nerd? It'd be an interesting concept. I don't think we'll watch them keep doing this. It'll go on forever. Be about as exciting as watching paint dry. Bobby's come home, or stopped doing what he was doing. Bobby had wished to discover a potion, so I had him working on discovering a potion, but I don't think he managed to do that yet. But he has got his logic skill up a bit from trying to discover a potion, so he stopped to make himself a sandwich. But he's made a whole plate full of sandwiches, so that can go in the fridge. They're starting to run out of food that's edible. As you can see, the fridge is smoking, which means it's full of bad food. Here's Gary out playing with the hoop. It looks like he's had a bit more practice than some of the others. Birthday party time! Here's little Mary having her birthday. Well, what's Olivia wearing? She's done up in her exercise outfit. The clothes she's wearing, I think, came with the Katy Perry Sweet Treats stuff pack. Candles are blown out. Let's hope Don doesn't have any more alien pregnancies. That's 2 he's had so far. That'd be a bit of a problem seeing little Mary age up. There she goes. She's a toddler now. They're a noisy mob. She's off. Oh, she's got her imaginary friend. Are we going to have to make that one real as well? Wouldn't be surprised if we did or we didn't. We'll see what happens. Only the future will tell. Owen's going to make his real enough. Percy is as well. Only James is definitely not going to bother, because he's virtually not played with his imaginary friend at all. James is a grumpy sim. Hello, we've got some of the local teens hanging out there. There's a witch, And that looks like Zoe Durwood. She is Gary's love interest. I was thinking about getting Gary and Zoe married, but then Zoe started behaving in a very objectionable manner, and I checked out her traits and decided, no, I don't want Gary married to an evil sim. So this is what I wanted to do. There's Martin and Mary in the playpen together, and as they play together like that, they'll become friends and they'll start developing their charisma skill. I'll get Gary to do a bit more playing with the mirror and with the abacus. Abacus gives him logic, I think, and handiness is what they get from the walker, but I haven't put him in the walker, so he won't have any extra handiness points. And they get charisma playing with the mirror once they've learnt to talk. Now that sim in the background with the mohawk, he is a sim that people who are watching my Oscar's childhood videos will know very well, because he's one of Oscar's little mates. Look, that's Zoe Durwood. She's being a very evil sim there, scaring people. That's what alerted me to the fact that she is maybe not a suitable partner for Gary. Yes, the mohawk's wearing sim, that is little Gator Wolf. We had him as a little toddler, then we saw him get through his toddler years and his childhood years. Now, Petal needed to improve her charisma skill. She's got an opportunity that requires her to increase her charisma, so I decided she could come and chat to herself in the mirror, because that will give her a chance to do charisma. This is her bedroom. That painting on the left, that is by a famous artist, and I've forgotten her name. It's somebody I didn't know about until I found those paintings by Sim Picasso, put them up and made them work for the Sims. But she does wonderful artwork, and I've seen these paintings that I've used out of my custom content from The Sims. I've come across her work a few times in other places, and without seeing her work in my game, I would never have recognised or taken much notice of her. So there's Percy working, trying to find a potion to turn his imaginary friend real. He still hasn't found that potion. And as you know, we don't sit and watch it happen. We'll come back if we can to see him actually doing the job. Hello, we got an abduction here. Is that Don? Let's hope he doesn't get pregnant. I've noticed that both Martin and Mary have the same mother, so I'm assuming that if Don gets abducted by her, well, then he has a possibility of getting pregnant again. But if it's a different alien that abducts him, well, then he'll probably be safe. So when he gets back, I'll check to see if that's the same alien that is the mother of the two toddlers he's already got. So it turns out that Martin and Mary are full biological brother and sister. According to their family tree, they have the same mother and the same father, with Don being the father. But of course, I don't believe they get any of Don's DNA. They just get it from their mother. But that's only me making an assumption, considering they're 100% alien DNA, and Don doesn't have any alien DNA at all. He's found something. He's found a potion. Oh, look. That's what the problem is. I can't see that potion being discovered to see if it's the imaginary friend potion, because Don's coming back, and look at that amazing picture. I've never seen anything like it. I've frozen it there because I can't believe what I'm looking at. This is Don's return. Let's see who's returning him. Is he going to be safe from another pregnancy, or is he not? There they are. Let's go check who that alien is. It's a different name, different alien from the mother of the other two. So maybe he's safe. Let's hope so. I don't want another alien baby, but if he is pregnant, I won't send it off to go and grow up with the aliens. I will keep it as a part of his family. I think I've got their greenhouse down to the size that I want it now. It's about half the size that I initially had it. So I'll leave it alone, but I will continue to expand the house. So I don't know what potion he got when we had to go and check out Don returning from his abduction. We missed that. Oh, there it is. That's the imaginary friend potion. We got it. I have a striking suspicion that that was a whole extra bit of potion making going on there that we didn't video. Now Petal wanted to find an insect, and I thought it's night time. Let's go down near this little or big fishing hole and see if there's any fireflies, because I need fireflies for making elixirs sometimes. Now that's an interesting thing that just happened there. That's James is actually happy and bouncing on the trampoline with one of the imaginary friends. I think it's Chaz. They're both enjoying themselves. Don't often see James happy. Percy's off there catching butterflies. He's got that opportunity again. I've stuck his imaginary friend out in the middle of the paddock in the hope that it will come out real, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. In the end, I had to go and get Percy to go and pick it up, because he just left it there. He's got the potion now, but he's going to have to work hard to get friendly with it again. It was following him around before, but now it just wants to sit there. You're going to have to pick it up, Percy, put in your inventory. And we'll have a chat and play with it, then it might make itself friendly with you again. We've got to have another birthday party yet before this episode ends, because Martin has got to age up to be a little boy, because I want Percy to age up in the next episode, and before Percy ages up we want Martin and Percy to play together as children. So there's the candles, and Olivia's got little Martin in her arms by the look of it. All the imaginary friends made real are coming to the party. I was worried that umbrella might get in the way, and of course it is in the way. That yellow umbrella. It's out of the picture now because I am limited to where I can put the camera because that umbrella's too close. I took it off the table so they could put the birthday cake on it. There we go, the candles have been blown out. This is where Martin turns into a little boy Sim. Alien Sim. His alien ancestors must have evolved on a planet with a very dark sun, because his alien eyes are so big and so fully black that he must have evolved, his ancestors must have evolved in a place without much light. He was allowed to choose a trait. He got brave. Now let's all go and have a piece of cake. Don't think there's enough cake to go around actually. Percy got a bit, which is good because he's the other little boy in the household. They're still going to have to get up to some little boy type hijinks. Meanwhile, little Mary, now she's a toddler, has got all her toddler skills to learn and all those books to read before she can age up. Well, at least we found them where they're sitting eating cake. There's little Martin on the little table, and Percy at the big table. Oh, look what happened. We've got an imaginary friend. I have seen them like this before. I'd given up on this imaginary friend. I thought it was bugged or something and never going to appear. He's not been made real yet. He's still got that light above his head. And he's not ready to drink the potion yet either. They're going to have to become really good friends before he'll drink the potion. I'm glad he's changed into this type of imaginary friend, this form. Of course, when they become real, they'll have a human form and a doll form. So I suppose it's only logical that when they're still dolls and not real, that they would have a human form and a doll form as well. And you can tell when they're still a doll and haven't been made real because they have that light on above their head. But any of those imaginary friends that you see, the teenagers walking around looking as human as ever, if you put them in their doll form, they will look exactly like they did before they drank the potion. You got him to drink the potion, it didn't take very long. He's transforming, that takes a while. I noticed when I first started this game I wasn't going to use mods or custom content. There he is, he's a imaginary sim turned real now. But anyways, I've gradually added bits and pieces to the game as it went along. Look at that little princess just sitting there thinking, and as soon as I got myself organised to film her there, she decided to stand up and walk away with a little smirk on her face. So with Percy's little imaginary friend, I needed to take him into create a sim because I wanted to change his skin, but the skins that were there, I was very limited. I had to use skins on the other imaginary friends, types of skins that I don't usually use, although they're not bad, nothing wrong with them. But I wanted a better skin for this chap. There he is there. You can see him, that's little Pat Walker. Percy's imaginary friend turned real after he's been into Creator Sim. Now, I've got the 3 little boys who are about to set off for a bit of fun together. There's Pat and Percy and Martin, and they're going to the other end of the world to go fishing together down to the big waterfall. And as they're doing this, we will call this an end to this video because it's long enough now. There's Martin, he's heading off to the fishing hole. They're all on their bikes. They're going to meet up there together. I do hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you have enjoyed it, please give it a like, and if you haven't subscribed yet, that would be very helpful. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye for now, and happy simming.